Yeah. Yeah. Boo. She gon' bust it. She gon' rustle. Yeah. What's up, baby? Tell me how you get the one up on me. Aye. And I know you ain't playing round. You about to have me down on one knee. Aye. I got that soul. Now she done came and snatched the soul out of me. Aye. She got
I will be the host for this evening, Ravish, the most ravishing man on the internet. And joined here by my side, one for the very first time and one for a rare occurrence. Starting off with Joshua Jet Leesman, also known as Walmart Jet, one of my favorite personal analysts. And of course, by his side too is Senor El Frico.
Let's go, baby. Oh, man, I'm feeling great for this one, man. How you feeling, Josh?
I'm super pumped up. We're ready to watch a bunch of teams come through. And guys, we can watch Cinnamon Bread come out for the first time ever on a stream. I can't wait to see this dude play.
Oh my god. Yes, sir. Exactly like you said here, Josh. Cinnamon Bread and friends, the Mercenaries, will be taking on Conviction today. Now, Conviction we've seen time and time again on the UPL. They've been like, aight, nothing super interesting. But like they've been okay, they've had back and forth performances, more back than forth. But this was a tug of war. I would say the advantage would not be that if this was a chessboard here, Josh, and they were white would be losing at about 30% almost the entire time. Just try to put it in all your perspectives here.
Thank you for translating it to a game I actually understand, Ravish. I was really worried that we would have to be watching some League of Legends. There's like pretty colors going back and forth, but we got the Mercenaries up on your screen. Barrick, Rourke, my boy Cinnamon Bread, Sahori, and Sweaty Toast.
Yeah, that's the better bread right there. Sweaty Toast over in the bottom. I'm rooting for that right now.
Well, I had a whole conversation with Riv about this, man. Like, you just can't do like soggy bread. It just doesn't work out the way you want it to, man. It just gets to mush at the end. It's like you gotta get the cinnamon.
Cake, man?
What's the hold on? Cake isn't bread.
Okay. Oh my! We're about to have an argument right now.
We're not about to get into
screw the match. Screw the match. Okay, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, guys, I don't want to create a fight right off the bat. We have so much time to fight later on about things that actually matter, like different types of bed. You know what? Let's just honestly ban League of Legends in general. That's our main topic of today. Of course, is cake bread will be our main theme for tonight. Cinnamon Bread going on top of all of it, and we're of course bringing him in to settle it by the end of it. On the other end, speaking, getting settled. Conviction on the other end. Deathstrux, introduce the roster for us.
Yeah, look at Conviction right now. We got Hero, Ivan, Yang, Greasy, Watermelon. I already said Watermelon's my favorite fruit. I'm flipping sides. I'm on Team Conviction now. Nightstar and Dinosaur, lol. So there you go with the roster Conviction.
Do you think he's scratching stuff?
Oh, that would be a bad idea.
I guess everything is scratch and sniff if you scratch hard enough.
I don't like the idea that you presented here, and all of this is possibilities. Then I'll follow it, sir. It is such a plethora of worlds.
My drip shirt, man.
I don't know why you're not here. You know what? I do appreciate you actually bringing this show and tell to us here, Deathstrux. And I feel like now that you've shown us something, I feel like I gotta show you something that's almost equally as impressive. Here, here's a tiny bat symbol that I have beside my desk, and when I turn it on, I feel like I'm Batman.
Amazing! Okay, I'm not even joking. Batman is my favorite.
Is that Batman?
So, yeah,
it's me. The call has been answered. Everybody's asking for me to return here, friends. So, as I must whoosh off into the night, I do want to pass it up to our casters real quick. Beatdown Boulevard and Mad Magical to take us into game number 1. Gentlemen, take it away.
Hello. Welcome in, one and all. We are getting ready for an exciting series to start off. I'm Mad Magical, joined in by the one and only Beatdown. Beatdown, we get a cast together. This is exciting. You're moving up from the analyst desk.
That's right, and I don't get to work with you too often, Magical, so I'm real hyped about this one. We got a nice series ahead of us, especially because some of the teams that we got here in week 1, we're going through Mercenary versus Conviction. And if y'all have been paying attention to the amateur scene for the OQs for, I believe it was Challengers Uprising in Season 3, Cinnamon Bread himself made quite a stir.
Definitely was one of those fun players to watch. I'm trying to remember exactly what the picks were because I know it was spicy picks. He didn't really.
I know he played set for a couple games.
Was one of them. Was it Malzahar another one of them? I think he busted out the Malzahar.
He might have.
These strange picks that people weren't exactly ready for. And that actually is really exciting for me going up against Conviction because Greasy Watermelon there on the other side is a player who also likes to play some of the more strange picks, a lot more on the assassin style. I know Zed is one of like the pocket picks. Same with Kiana, still playing that mid lane, regardless if nobody else really is.
You know what? I really do wish people would play Kiana more. She's definitely very mechanically intense, but if you get your hands on her and you get yourself going, she is a disgustingly oppressive champion, and she's it's very fun to watch, not fun to play against. Being on the receiving end of that, if that's ever happened to you, it is very demoralizing. But maybe, you know, maybe Greasy Watermelon or Cinnamon Bread will demoralize each other for our entertainment. Kind of what I'm
Could be. I mean, this is also why I just play Vigart, so I can put a baby cage down, and anytime I see Kiana, just put baby cage on myself, stand on the edge. She tries to go near me, I just nuke her down to oblivion. But you know what? We'll see if we're gonna see that today, because right now we're already seeing that it might be double up on the ADC bans Ezreal. Senna would be a bit surprising, just because the Tom Kench rework has kind of taken Senna from being one of those really big niche picks and having something that you have to worry about. But now that you don't, the Tom Kench really can't pair up with Senna like they used to be able to. Senna's been more, from what I've been seeing, it's more on like going with Set, maybe even Braum. I don't really like the Braum pairing nearly as much as the Set, but it's not nearly as powerful and annoying to deal with as Senna and Tom Kench have been.
No, I don't think we're ever going to see a lane as oppressive as that now that Tom Kench is no longer the way he used to be and also disabled for this week. But still, I think there is use for Senna. I still think she's a strong weak side, a good weak side AD carry. And if you do manage to get yourself Thresh in the draft, although I understand Braum is not as exciting or not as useful with the gold as, say, like Set, for example, or old Tom Kench, but I still think there are uses in safe lanes like that if you just want a lane that you can not spend so much time around, not have to worry about as much if you want to play through other lanes here. And then that's why they also banned the Thresh, it looks like.
Right. Well, the thing is with Braum, I think he actually does have a great place in certain compositions. Xin Zhao is one of them. Xin Zhao, Karma, Lulu, and Braum in the bot lane. But another pairing that I've been seeing really crop up whenever Xin Zhao isn't there has actually been, you still grab Braum, you still grab either Lulu or Karma. And you pair it up with Kindred. Kindred has been the fallback for a lot of these, functioning in a very similar way to how Xin Zhao is able to, really being able to get the custom blow stacks, plus having either wild growth or having the immense amount of shields that a Karma can provide, makes it so Kindred is one of these powerful junglers that has really been starting to rise up in the meta.
You pair it with the fact that Kindred just scales absolutely phenomenally as the game goes later. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting pairing. And I'm glad you bring up the Enchanters as well, because they're widely agreed to be extremely powerful at the moment, magical. But if we look down at the first couple of bans here, neither Enchanter has been taken off the board. We could see a Karma Lulu handshake go through here. And the fact that we saw Viego come through B1 for Conviction already means they're real happy with picking up such a strong champ.
Well, so yeah, what I was going to say is even though those Enchanters, even though I've been talking about what we've been seeing a lot through LPL, through Academy, we are seeing Nocturne be one of these permanent red side bans. And the fact that actually it's the handshake of Viego for Nocturne makes me feel like Mercenaries are actually the ones coming out ahead into this draft. They not only get that Nocturne, the flexibility, Cinnamon Bread can play it, you can put into Barrack in the top lane, Rourke can play it in jungle, but they also have this powerful tool in Karma to make sure you have immense amounts of shields, pokes, keeping everyone safe. And I even wonder if they just grab Lulu too, really, to make sure whenever Nocturne goes in, shield, wild growth on top of him, he's diving into the back line, he's styling on everybody, and he just annihilates them because Stridebreaker, the changes to it, really actually have helped them out with his burst potential.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the Lulu too, because we see the Kog'Maw hover. If that comes in, I believe with every part of my soul that Lulu's going to follow right away. And I would already like that coming through for Conviction, because Mercenaries, when you see a champ like Nocturne, you already know we're thinking about diving in. We're thinking of getting in there like swimwear, as I love to say. And there it is, the lock-in. So what is one of the best ways to mitigate that? Draft around a hyper carry that you can protect in many ways. Viego is going to serve as a great front line. Lulu, all all the peel she offers, there's just nothing to say about that. The shields, the wild growth, it is an insane pairing that a lot of teams and coaches will tell you is absolutely broken. I think Conviction are looking okay so far.
And this is actually something that you often see when it's on the opposite side of the rift, the Kog'Maw Lulu. You grab something like Force, and if it is going to be Karma support as opposed to being the mid lane Karma that you
could be,
or possibility, there's a small chance that it is a top lane Karma. But more likely, I'm imagining that Kim Down is going to be playing this Karma. The Varus Karma lane, the amount of poke it can provide into something that is as fragile as a Kog'Maw is going to allow a lot of pressure from Mercenaries to exert over that bot lane.
You're right, and the thing I'm wondering about too is our Conviction thinking about that? You could very easily throw Lulu into a solo lane, pick a safer support. Even though Thresh is off the board, you could think of something maybe like Nautilus, the Braum, if you really want to go on the defensive here. And in doing so, one, you put Karma in an unfortunate lane, and Lulu at least neutralizes, if not shoves, almost every solo lane matchup there is. If you pick an assassin into her, I'm so sorry, you're not playing League of Legends anymore. So that is a possible pivot Conviction could look towards here, especially because Mercenaries are only looking to ban top laners, because that's really the only thing they are concerned with, because they already know that these really strong frontliners like Gnar when he has Mega, like Ornn, are just going to complement Conviction's current composition and what they're going for really well.
And not to mention that it also kind of tells us that we're probably going to see a final pick, the blind pick top lane for Mercenaries.
Right.
In fact, they probably have an idea of what they want to be able to draft, but they want to be able to, ooh, if they lock in that Renekton, that actually would surprise me. You sometimes do see this where you ban out top lane, you imagine that you're going to draft it right away, but sometimes you even see when you have the Nocturne flex, you want to be able to hold and retain that flexibility with your team composition, but here they're just saying that they're going to be able to get the Renekton. It still has that flexibility, and Cinnamon Bread is a player that I would imagine would be able to pilot a champion like Renekton mid lane, but this is fascinating. The Malphite pick in for Hero pretty much neutralizes both of these picks already for Mercenaries in Nocturne and Renekton.
Yeah, this one is really interesting. You do offer some peel and also is a chance to engage with a pick like that Malphite. Silas 2 would be pretty nice. Yeah, there it is. So that lock-in coming through tells me that they still want to go with this move forward composition. It is a little tougher, kind of leaving someone like the Kog'Maw off on his own during these team fights. So that's why you still have the Lulu who can offer some of that peel with the polymorph, with the wild growth. And if you look on the other side too here, the Renekton is so that you have a dive buddy if you're Nocturne here. That's, I'm not fully convinced. Oh, wait a second. No, it's actually top late Nocturne, and we are going to most likely be seeing this Fiddlesticks in the jungle. So this I like a lot more, because now you have Mercenaries who have all this dive, and the fact is, if Conviction dive as well, in these situations, it becomes this trade of backlines. Who can kill whose backlines first? Well, Magical, I don't know about you, but my money is on Nocturne, Renekton, and freaking Fiddlesticks.
So one of these things for Mercenaries is I do believe that Rourke has actually played a good amount of Fiddlesticks. Me and Crumbs over on Academy love this pick right now. It is a pick that more players need to actually put into practice. He's not going to have like that powerful early wave clear, and he is a little susceptible to some of these really powerful junglers currently, but Viego is not one of them. He's not one of those champions that's going to be able to punish a Fiddlesticks early on. So this is a perfect time to grab it, as well as the ability to be able to dive into the backline and completely disrupt, while only having a Lulu to be able to help him out is really good for the side of Mercenaries, like you said, with the Renekton and Nocturne combo too.
And when you think about how some of these laners that are historically really strong in the current metagame, you think of Renekton can often get pushed early. When you think of Nocturne, can also get pushed early. And that benefits them really exceptionally well, especially because of this Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks loving to play with these pockets of vision that Mercenaries are controlling. And sure, you get the fear when you come flying in with that Crow Storm. Already means that come level 6, you got to imagine, as long as things don't get a little mixy, Mercenaries are going to have this control in that mid game for that exact reason. Because you're going to have Conviction having to do some face checking, and well, face checking Fiddlesticks is not fun.
Not at all. Gives him so much power, and this is the thing I've actually loved with the reworked Fiddlesticks and how he operates. Is he's not quite that spammy, annoying champion that can nearly permanently CC you if he has enough cooldown reduction with the sphere, because it does have that timer. But the fact that as long as he remains hidden, it can actually be a full 5-man fear, makes them so
Yep.
much more powerful for that initial engage, especially when you look at the rest of Mercenaries. If it is going to be onto Roar to be that initial engage tool, then you have the corrupting chains coming in from Namor.
Yep.
You have the Paranoia in from Barrack with the Nocturne diving in, and that allows this Renekton to be able to dive in as well. They're not really caring about Vars. Vars is like, can he get a spell rotation out? Cool. He dies, whatever. As long as everyone else can dive into the backline, that's really what's going to be critical.
Right, and if you think about champions like Kog'Maw, Viego, Silas, they're all looking for those extended trades, Magical, those extended fights. But when we get into these skirmishes where if you are feared for a second or two, then you think about the Chains of Corruption like you mentioned, those seconds are really all it's going to take for a fight to fall apart for the side of for that side there, because what ends up happening is that's auto attacks you're not getting off, that's spell rotations like Silas's Kingslayer that are not happening. So in those few seconds you can get absolutely decimated by the dive coming from Nocturne and Co.
Though I am going to be curious with how Conviction Moon are going to be able to play around this as well, because that is a great thing about Silas. There are a lot of great tools on the other side to be able to steal away. Dominance from Renekton, Paranoia from Nocturne, the Crow Storm from Fiddlesticks, even Chain of Corruptions to be another source of engage. There's going to be all great tools that Conviction could possibly use as we dive onto the Rift for game number 1 here in the UPL. Conviction Moon taking on Mercenaries.
And again, we just got to stress how important the early game here is for Conviction, especially because already you have laners for Mercenary that are very strong, that are going to get this push early. And if you get rolled over in the early game for Conviction, it was an accident, I swear.
Not you. Look at this.
Oh, okay.
Boo, fight! Don't be cowards!
Oh, you just love the level 1s, don't you?
Yes! Boo! Cowards, boo!
But we just gotta get in chat somehow and be like, hey, scrap it out right now.
Yeah, this is why I miss Blitzcrank being in the meta. Because you almost always saw him going in for these invades, trying to be able to get that pull. You know, that's some real Chad stuff.
Dude. Yeah, but pair that with Hex Flash, which I consider to be the Chad's rune. It's just a beautiful combination.
It's a good rune.
Yeah, it's the most respectable rune you could play. Sometimes I saw someone take it on Olaf once, and when I tell you the respect I had for that man, magical.
I respect it.
Right?
You know, I mean, honestly, I think Hex Flash is one of the best keystone. I wish it was a keystone because it's.
Oh my god, imagine!
One of the best runes there is, just because how much you're able to do. In fact, oftentimes, depending on who I'm playing as support, I'll flash in base just so I have Hex Flash.
Yeah, I like it.
Regular flash. I don't need a regular flash. Who do you think I am? I'm a Hex Flash kind of guy. But right now, we're not seeing anybody do those awesome style points. Instead, it is all about the typical laning phase coming in from these players. Nothing probably going to really happen, especially because when you look at the junglers, it's Fiddlesticks, it's Viego. They're kind of wanting to scale up anyways. They're really wanting to be able to have a little bit more that they can do to be able to impact these lanes.
Right, and it's mostly going to be about the what I like to call the solo dolo kills, if such things are going to occur, and if the two junglers actually end up finding really prime opportunities. You have a wave potentially threatening to be frozen towards someone's tower, and you just happen to be at the middle or at the end of a clear, then either one of these junglers could find a nice opening there and get some CC on and get an early kill. But besides that, like you said, it is about laning, making sure you don't let the enemy in Mercenaries flex their advantages too much on you. Like I was trying to say earlier, like if you get rolled over in this early game, even if you scale really well, the team fight is so good for Mercenaries, it's hard to imagine Conviction being able to come back.
It is a big snowball competition that really can steamroll. The only thing I will give over to the side of Conviction is this is a competition that needs to be able to survive. They have really good typical front-to-back team fight potential with just having 3 champions that work so well for that. Lulu, Kog'Maw, and Malphite. The Viego, Silas are going to be great to disrupt a lot of the backline, or even make sure they disrupt the dive potential out of Mercenaries. But as long as they're able to hold relatively even against Mercenaries, they're not gonna have to worry about getting steamrolled like that. All they have to worry about is making sure that they keep the Kog'Maw alive.
That's right, and a big part of that, like I mentioned in the draft, was keeping control of vision as much as you can. Fiddlesticks loving to play through these pockets of darkness that Mercenaries are going to be trying to set up in and around these objective fights. And that's going to be the key thing here for technically both teams if you think about it. But now Rourke was looking for this double crab, but instead,
it's going to be just the single one for single one. But right now, Ivan had a really greedy recall he was attempting there. He had put the ward down onto the Raptors and was just trying to back right there. Actually, probably could have completed it because it was going to be some time before Rourke was going to be able to answer. But now, Greasy Watermelon taking a bad trade against Cinnamon and Bread in this mid lane. I like that the mid lane is the battle of food. It's Food Wars. Did you ever watch the anime? Food
I
Wars?
did. I was actually a
didn't.
big fan of it. Really, it's good.
Didn't like it personally. I also don't like I don't like ecchi stuff that much.
Oh, I completely understand.
The first episode, definitely, I'm like,
Yeah.
I heard it's not as bad afterwards, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm good. It's like,
yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, you also know my taste. I tend to like the darker stuff anyways.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm more of an edgelord when it comes to my anime taste.
That's why you watch Jujutsu Kaisen, right, buddy?
I still haven't watched that yet. I need to.
Magical!
I know. I have failed you in this regard, but that's mostly just because I've been busy. Give me some time, and I will watch it. It is on my to-watch list because I've heard so many good things from people like you and a lot of other people as well. So I'm really excited to watch it. But that's not what we're watching here. We're watching League of Legends beatdown. We got to get back on topic.
Of course.
Actually, I'm keeping my eyes on Rourke. He's gotten an early, early in big quotes because they're mostly just power farming to 6 anyways. But he's got that recall off to already get the Sork boots with the Predator. And I'm curious to see, once Rourke hits level 6, where those Pred boots are going to be first used.
It's going to be tough. Once he gets to level 6, which is soon, you do have potential dive options in the bot side of the map, just because you've had Prio there the entire time. Perhaps he goes for the Dragon first. It all depends on what lane state we see it in. You could even look top side, because now Varric, he's just been running this lane the entire time. Now that he hits that level 6, that is a lot of dive potency you have for yourself with the Crow Storm and the Paranoia. The point is, a lot of options so far for Rourke, and you got to know that it is about the time Fiddlesticks is hitting that level 6 mark, so the laners of Conviction got to play as carefully as they can. All Ivan can afford to do is drop a ward over the wall and be like, hey, I know you guys are doing Dragon. I can't stop you, but I know it's happening.
Yeah, I kind of like it just to be able to read the play, how they're going to be able to react around it, though. That is always the big thing. And unfortunately for the side of Ivan, there really isn't much you can do. Top lane, maybe you could gank, but Hero only just hit level 6. You can already see that it's a nice shove from Barrick to make sure they don't have to wear anything. And now he can go for full burst damage, the flash away. Sure, he was able to secure that Scuttle Crab, but having to burn flash to be able to survive is not a big thing that you want to have happen early on.
No, not at all. Now these next couple of minutes are going to be a little tough. If Ivan gets caught out again, he will end up losing his life more often than not. But still, these really wild skirmishes do favor. Oh, wait, Ivan's back?
Yeah, he's back, and Barrick, unfortunately,
wait!
Gets slowed down, might die 1v1, trying to be able to get away, but has the back of Cinnamon Bread and Roar getting huge fear onto Dinosaur.
Oh, he's going!
To return it with Greasy Watermelon, huge
storm.
heal! First blood comes
in,
double kill from Watermelon. Barrick trying to be able to turn it around, but
GP
TP in behind. Conviction, they've got a triple kill. Greasy Watermelon, he is too slippery.
Oh, and what a nice ultimate to steal into Crow Storm coming out from Greasy Watermelon. Things got so mixy there for the moment. The worst that I was concerned about for Mercenaries was that Barrick was going to fall under tower. But immediately, once Rourke comes in with that Crow Storm, you see the steal coming through with the hijack. And just very well played fight from Greasy Watermelon. And just like that, Conviction, the team we were hoping would, for their sake, just stay even, not fall too far behind, and get snowballed on. Well, guess what, Magical? They are now ahead.
Yeah, he's back, and Barrick,
wait!
Gets slowed down, might die 1v1, trying to be able to get away, but has the back of Cinnamon Bread and Roar getting huge fear on Dinosaur.
Oh, he's going!
Turn it with Greasy Watermelon, huge heal,
and because of the Cinnamon Bread, unfortunately not able
from
to
Watermelon.
do a
Barrick
whole lot
trying to be
in
able
that
to turn it
scrap
around.
and because of that AoE damage from the Crow
they've got a triple kill. Greasy Watermelon.
Center. So easy for him to get those 3 kills. Now, this Silas is monumentally fed. As you can see, he had a fantastic back coming through for him. And now, this is his lane, Magical.
It is. And that is one of the things people always forget about Silas, is that he is this deceptively tanky champion.
Yeah!
The Kingslayer being able to heal him back up so many times throughout that fight was critical. And you could even see Cinnamon Bread realizing that. getting that Executioner's Calling just to try to be able to deal with some of the healing that Greasy Watermelon is going to have in these upcoming skirmishes. He is 3-0. You have to stop the Silas. Otherwise, how the hell are you supposed to be able to snowball?
Yeah, I imagine Cinnamon Bread Ollie agrees with me. We got some grievous wounds in the future here for Mercenaries. This is going to be tough. And because of that rotation mid lane as well from Namor and Kim, you actually give away some plate gold. It looks like on the bottom side of the map, you do allow Nightstar and Dinosaur to be able to shove that wave and actually get what seems to be a favorable recall off for them as well, too. So even though they're struggling a little bit, they do find that little reprieve because of the success Conviction are finding all across the map here. And realistically, because all of the gold is on Silas, there are many worlds where Mercenaries can still come out on top of these skirmishes. You focus Greasy Watermelon down, Conviction take a not so favorable fight, and it ends up becoming like a 3 versus 1, a 4 versus 1 before the rest can get there. You can still come out on top here because this whole gold lead is on Greasy Watermelon.
It's fair, but whenever I see a Kog'Maw composition and you're not focusing on the Kog'Maw in that composition, I feel like things are bound to go awry for the side of Mercenaries if they're not careful, if they're not finding these members caught out of position. Because you already highlighted that it was only a little bit of a reprieve for Nightstar in that bot lane to get some CS and plate gold back for the Kog'Maw, but really, it's about even staying relatively close for this champion in the bot lane, because you knew you were going to have a hard time in Tavares and Karma. So long as you're getting at least enough gold to be relevant, that's all that matters.
Right, and you already see, like, Namor is going the lethality Varus build, so it's all about the poke, and he's going to essentially peak out in his individual sense in around the mid game when you think about how lethality works in terms of his power spikes. So Namor, in time, you'll absolutely be getting out damaged. Barrick?
Barrick got stunned up, taking a lot of damage here, looking for the fear, the Heartbreaker to be able to get the fear and trying to dodge away. Greasy Watermelon does not have the flash. They're going to be able to get a lot of damage, though. The chain slash not going to connect. It's going to be the dive under the turret. Technically a solo kill for Ivan, and now it's going to be Retribution pinned down, taking a lot of damage by Greasy Watermelon just to be able to get a little bit closer to the fight.
And the Predator will give away that Rourke is in the area, so they're just going to back right off here. It's a really nice punish onto Barrick. They could be looking for a little bit more if they want to pressure this Renekton under the tower, but with the Dragon spawning, that's what you have your eyes on if you are Conviction. Greasy Watermelon has a timer he can work with. They can go bot and fight if they really want to. He is quite strong and ahead of everyone else if you just look at itemization. So there is a world where that can happen. You go for the shove and just immediately walk down.
And you can even see the pathing right now coming in from Mercenaries. Barrick, who died at the beginning, does not have TP, so has to path towards this bot lane, towards the bottom half of the map, just to make sure to be nearby. But now the fight mid lane.
Dominus!
Get the Dominus pop on each side and shut down for Cinnamon Bread. Barrick, perfect place to be.
Fantastic bait coming out from Cinnamon Bread. So easy to follow up with the Paranoia. And look at that. No one's going to be able to answer this Rift Herald either. You know what that means, Magical? Mercenaries are going to pick up Dragon number 2, and they're doing a good job at stacking up here. But we might have a skirmish going mid lane.
What happened
to mid lane, Cinnamon Bread?
Right now, Cinnamon Bread trying to be able to get away, does not have the dominance anymore, the flash to be able to get towards the team. The bot lane was already on the way up to make it difficult, and because they had the push bot lane, they secure the dragon, they keep Cinnamon Bread alive, and they have that stacking potential for this mid game.
And that's so nice for Mercenary to recognize that they are so far ahead when it comes to this top lane head-to-head. Barrick, you already see the CS gold. He's definitely got his hands full on some plate gold as well. So he's okay to let that wave sit in the top lane while he actually makes the play mid, and then just go ahead and catch whatever's left top side. You know you don't lose much in the exchange, and you pick up the shutdown on Greasy Watermelon crucially. So now that bit of dominance we're seeing from Greasy Watermelon might taper off just a little bit, especially now that we're seeing some item spikes come through for Mercenaries. But again, the fact that they're keeping pace is still okay, because that's all we really wanted from them. They're scaling towards the end of the game, or the later stages of the game rather, is still going to be very, very good.
But Nate, you know what my problem here is for Conviction?
Talk to me.
Look at the inventory of top lane hero. What is he building?
Frostfire, probably?
Is that the right choice for Malphites? If you say yes, I will slap you through the computer.
I would love to see you try and do that, just because I'd be stunned more than hurt. But I know Frostfire is what people like to do. Is what people. Hey, I can say that.
No.
That's true. But look, I want your thoughts now.
Nobody
You're
likes
obviously very
to do
passionate.
that. Nobody, they feel
You think so?
they have to do it. It's,
Wait, what
it's
do you
boring.
think?
It's lame. You
Uh-huh.
go Imperial Mandate Malphite
Oh,
every
wait.
time. You want to know
Okay.
why? Because
Why?
the enemy is just dead the moment you show up. You might be dead too the moment you land, but at least they'll die just as fast as you do.
Okay, I really like where your head's at, but let me just quickly counterpoint you here.
No.
In a team fight, aren't
No.
you already dead when Malphite shows
No.
up anyway?
No.
No? Okay, I
No.
apologize. Okay, just making sure, gotta cover all my bases.
Yeah, I respect it, but no.
Thank you. Okay, all right, no,
Anyway-
cool. We're just gonna
anyways,
move right on, yeah.
We're gonna move right on. We're gonna get back
Yeah.
into this game because
Mhm.
now we're seeing a lot of these mythics completed. We even see that Nightstar forego that just to be able to get a little bit more resistance because of the fear of a Fiddlesticks diving on it to this
True.
Kog'Maw. I respect that. Making sure to stay alive longer as Kog'Maw. You really have to, because if you're not the one getting the damage, you're then relying purely onto Greasy Watermelon. You can even see this dive attempted on top lane. Hero does have the ultimate if he wants to be able to use it to be able to get huge
Oh, the
knock
knockup?
on a Rourke, but Rourke will
Ooh.
just barely be able to survive.
Yeah, really nice. Again, Fiddlesticks playing through the vision top lane. Heroes just...
If he had Imperial Mandate, they'd be dead.
That's not true. He would have died
it is.
faster. Man,
No,
oh,
they'd be dead.
all right. Well, either way, top lane hero gets dismantled
saying.
largely because of the fear of the Crowstorm. The fact is, he doesn't get to do anything until he loses 80% of his HP, and that's really what we were highlighting. The big power of the dive is that if placed correctly, if playing outside of vision like Rourke has been doing so far, you don't even get to play for part of that team fight. And again, that's very deadly considering Mercenaries' composition.
Especially because a lot of teams, even on this hyper echelon of players, they don't even have the full vision control that they'd really like to be able to have into Fiddlesticks because it's difficult. His Trinket is a far different tool than so many people are used to because it's essentially 2-in-1. Being able to put the crow down, he not only gets that ward for quite a long time, but the fact that it also works as a mini sweeper makes it so that Fiddlesticks'
That's
vision
true.
control game is incredibly powerful. And this is why
Yeah.
I actually love seeing Fiddlesticks, especially this new Fiddlesticks, starting to rise up as this niche pick, since so many players just struggle to be able to contend against that control.
And that's part of what I don't like. I think that's a little too good in my opinion, but either way, it is part of his kit. Rourke, though, is going to have to
Okay,
walk
he
away.
makes up for it by having a weak early game.
Okay, I will concede that. But really quickly, if the Observer could just toggle gold, because even though we're seeing this stark difference in gold, I have a feeling a lot of it in favor of Mercenaries is onto Barrack. So what I was saying earlier is still kind of true. In these team fights, if Barrack goes too far, if you manage to get rid of him, it is in a way effectively becomes rather even when it comes to things like damage and itemization. And the sustain on Conviction is still very much a problem magical. So these team fights still have to be played very well from Mercenary. But overall, you still got to say they're in a good spot right now. And the best part, too, they are about to get to this Ocean Soul point that's coming up really soon. If they can secure themselves this third dragon, this is a really great spot to be in because when Dragon number 4 comes up, Conviction might have a tough choice to make.
Well, and this is where it ties all back into that vision control that Fiddlesticks has been able to get for the team. Because you can see right now how much control they have. That Ivan thought he had this ability to be able to invade, but it's fully controlled by the side of the Mercenaries, even on the weaker half of the map that you'd think that they wouldn't have that same kind of control. So now they're trying to see
Barrack?
if maybe Conviction can get a punishment on to Barrack, but he's difficult to be able to kill right away, and that burst that he's able to provide is a scary enough threat to get all 5 members of Conviction to completely bail.
And but part of the problem too is you're afraid of the re-engage, but you're also not sure where the rest of Mercenaries are. So they want to walk down, try and contest this dragon, but I'm afraid it's going to be gone in the process. It looks like it's going down very quickly. They have to be careful with base checking, and I think they're just going to lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not even trying to go for it. Instead, they're trying to see if they can get at least a trade. Popping the eye mid lane, they will be able to get a lot of damage, probably get that tier 1, which will open up a lot of the jungles of Mercenaries, and I think is a part that tool that we were talking about, being able to control Rourke as much as humanly possible, because right here, That's a lot of damage Barrack takes. As long as they can keep Nightstar alive and getting a second charge, this is a big win for the side of Conviction.
It is, but you're still in a tough spot if you're Conviction overall, because you gotta think about what they just lost. The third dragon. Mercenaries are one dragon away from the Ocean Soul. So there's gonna be a lot of sustain. And I talked about earlier how Conviction want to be the ones to sustain trade. Well, that becomes a problem when the enemy also heals constantly over time because of the individual drakes and that dragon's soul here. So Mercenaries are in a really good spot at the moment. They're holding on to their lead, and although it's not a decimating or insane snowball coming through, they've played this early game extremely well so far, and they're doing a good job at basically denying entry to most of these objectives. That third dragon was the first time Conviction even managed to get near it.
They've just struggled to be able to do anything really that can force back Mercenaries, and I feel like taking that tier 1 is one of the tools that they can fall back onto to rely on that control they need. Because even though, you know, losing the dragon is big, they still at least are able to have an easier time now for Ivan to walk right into the jungle of Rourke and actually be able to have his teammates knowing that it's harder for Mercenaries to actually punish his mispositions or his invades.
That's true, because we have been highlighting how it's important to be able to get some deep vision, especially because of someone like the Fiddlesticks here. So, hopefully, that can be enough for Conviction. But again, in about 3 minutes' time, we got a big decision to be made here for Conviction, especially with Baron being on the map. I'm afraid we might end up seeing a trade of objectives here, unless you can win the fight. Oh, wait, there's a fight, it looks like.
There's a big old fight between Barrack and Greasy Watermelon now.
I'm seeing low HP bars.
I see really low HP bars on the side. Greasy Watermelon got down below 25%, but the Kingslayer obviously
so good.
Heal him up a lot when there's no Swedish runes on the other side. But I'm definitely curious as to what was going on down there, because Barrack, even though he's 0 and 2, this is what we were talking about with Nocturne, and actually how you'd think that the change to Stride Breaker would have actually hurt him more than helped. But the fact that it adds in more burst potential actually makes him way stronger with this item than he previously had been.
The fact that he has gap closers on his own, so he doesn't have to worry about the nerfs as much as other champions might. Wait, Ivan is in trouble?
Ivan is, but he's going to use the Heartbreaker to be able to get away. He always has that tool. Even the Flash was up if necessary to be able to get away. But yeah, that's a Predator gone now for the side of Mercenary, getting the ultimate out of Ivan. Wait, Paranoia.
It's about to expire.
Paranoia's popped. No, that was on this. Okay, yeah.
The hijack expire.
Yeah, it was going to expire. Okay, that makes more sense. I was about to say, that's a little awkward of because I was like, nobody's going to start a fight just yet.
Imagine Greasy Watermelon winning for it, though. Oh, speaking of!
Nice. QSS coming in from the side, making sure that Rourke's ultimate does absolutely nothing. And Greasy Watermelon even threatening a potential 3v5 fight. I feel like that was a bit much, but the fact that they were able to get so much out of the side of Mercenaries and only lose the QSS out of Nightstar is going to allow them this free time to now push back the line coming in from Mercenaries.
That's really important too, because now with this dragon coming up in a minute's time, you hopefully take advantage of this reset timer, and that's what I'm seeing Ivan do to be able to, one, get some trades onto Rourke, and just set up the deep vision, because it's going to be so important. They can't let this dragon go. And the other thing I want to highlight too is, let's take a look at Nightstar. The fact that he's come ahead in CS despite being in an unfavorable matchup, he has not died despite many attempts, is very impressive, and part of that is because of the itemization, like we talked about. Immediately, for one, gets the wit's end, because he already knows what's going down in this game with Fiddlesticks in it. And to top it all off, he immediately goes for the QSS. He knows how deadly the fear can be, and he has been playing well so far. The fact that he's been able to get so strong, reaching that second item with the Runons, even though he has no Mythic, he's actually in a pretty good spot. So if he can get the space from Conviction, get the abilities, get the autos off, they actually have a chance here to pick up their first dragon.
Runons, I feel like, is actually even more powerful.
It's so good here.
Than even going for like a Gale Force.
True, I agree.
Mortal Shield. it just adds so much spread damage for this Kog'Maw and allows him
Exactly.
to clear even faster. Look at this. Mercenaries are still trying to see if
Here
they
it
can jump
comes.
on Kog'Maw.
No
They just
vision?
can't. It's so difficult. Here comes the Fears in the back line. Now they finally been
Oh,
able
he's
to pick off
gone.
some trade of the ADC on the other side, and two members of the side of Conviction trying to be able
Oh,
to
the
get away.
damage?
DP is going to be in time coming in from top lane. Hero triple
He'll
knock
stick
him.
some-
Lots of damage and the stolen
Greasy
fill.
Watermelon!
One to go golden, but they got the kill. Turned back around. Double kill once more for Greasy Watermelon. Cinnamon Dread, Kim down. They'll be able to survive, but the fight went awry.
Well, that's fantastic coming out from Conviction. You immediately lose Nightstar in his first death. He doesn't have the QSS. There's no way he can do anything about it. But they hold on Magical, and a fantastic hijack from Greasy Watermelon. Once again, we saw what it did earlier in the game, and we're going to
Here
see
comes
what happens now.
Kog'Maw.
They didn't see it come
It's
through.
so
They
difficult.
turn on
Here
to
comes
Namor.
the Fears
He
in
has
the back
to
line.
try
Now
and
they
back
finally
off.
been
He's
able to
gone.
destroy it.
But watch
Trade of the
Greasy
ADC on the other side, two
Watermelon.
members of
He's
the side.
coming
Conviction
in
trying to get
from
away.
the river right
DP is
there,
gonna
and
be
he
in time
steals the
coming in from top
hijack.
lane.
Look
Hero
how
triple
close
knock him.
everyone
Lots
is.
of damage
Look
and the
at the
stolen
assault
fill.
of the
Watermelon.
force.
One to go golden,
It was
but they got the kill.
beautiful.
Turned
Top
back
lane
around.
hero
Double
sets
kill
him
once
up. Greasy
more for
Watermelon
Greasy
knocks him
Watermelon.
down.
Cinnamon Dread.
It was
Kim down. Some amazing play there from Conviction Moon on how they're able to turn that around. And this goes back to the thing we were talking about before, where Greasy Watermelon has been this immense player, and you were talking about focusing Silas, trying to take him down, and then my worries was Kog'Maw. Well, here it was the opposite. They focused still on the Nightstar, understanding that they have to take Kog'Maw out,
Right.
but then they completely ignore Greasy Watermelon on the side, and he has a perfect flank to completely pick apart Mercenaries.
And I think the best part about everything that just took place there for Conviction is that you get yourself the Drake. You stall the game out for 5 more minutes. And with Conviction's composition, that is just a wonderful thing for them to be able to do, because now they get to continue farming up. Nightstar continues to farm up as he's actually pulling away from Namor, as he's just farming wave after wave here, picking up all the CS. It means that Conviction are in a pretty safe spot, and if a Baron play is made, they don't have to worry about losing the dragon in the process. But now, speaking of process, the dive is coming.
The paranoia, though, into 3 members and nobody nearby. Rourke, unfortunately, he went the wrong way to be able to dive in, and Danasaur is getting a lot of attention coming in from Cinnamon Bread, trying to make sure the wild growth is out of the equation, but now they've gotten onto Nightmare.
Oh, wait, it's
Looking to
winnable?
see if they can have the ult to the back line. They've dived
going
on
in.
top. Kim down still alive, but Rourke is taken out by Ivan, looking to see if they can turn it around onto Kim down as well.
He heals
Still getting the
so
shield to
much.
survive. One goes golden, but now Nightstar, he's able to get the damage he needs. He's been left untouched for so
Greasy
long, and
Watermelon,
finally
he
Kog'Maw, they help
lives.
to get the shutdown for Greasy Watermelon. He's too greasy, what I tell you, he's a slippery boy.
And they are never going to catch him. Mercenaries are just wasting their time. Greasy Watermelon lives with a sliver of HP, just continuously putting out all this damage. And you know what that means? It's Baron time for Conviction. They will lose nothing for it, and now they will, for the first time, pull ahead. Barrick is looking for the steal, but Greasy Watermelon also has a stolen ult. He's just going for him.
There it is, goes to make sure there's no steal coming in from Barrick.
Beautiful.
Yes, going to get away, but Greasy Watermelon,
He wants
wants to continue to lay down the law. Unstoppable Watermelon.
An insane, really good heads-up play just to make sure there will be no flipping of Barons here. It is guaranteed to go in Conviction's hands. And now, this is where they start to run away. Now, this is where Mercenaries are in a lot of trouble, because you're getting some of this outer tower gold. Now, Mercenaries off this respawn are going to try and make a play, but it's going to be tough. Wild Growth
out of the
is
equation,
back
but
up.
now
Oh,
they've
we're gonna
got-
look at the replay.
Now let's look at the replay, I guess, first, just because it is a wild. Greasy Watermelon.
Look at him.
He's just so much work. Here, they focused on it to Greasy Watermelon, but the whole idea was, yeah, you focus Greasy Watermelon, then you leave Nightstar alone. We jump back in, and we already see that there's the death that happened to Rourke. They're chasing away the members of Mercenaries. I understand the attempted play coming in from Mercenaries. There's a lot of gold to spend on the side of Conviction, but they're still not able to find these fights just because they are starting to slip. And really, the gold isn't even necessary for Conviction. They just need to be able to group up as a team and keep either Greasy Watermelon or Nightstar alive.
And you saw it just off the remnants when we came back from the replay. The Wild Growth came out on top of Greasy Watermelon. It was already back off of cooldown. And you can see just how useful that is. This double threat composition here from Conviction. If you're not dealing with Greasy Watermelon, you're getting dealt with by Nightstar, and vice versa. So it's so hard. Mercenaries have so much dive, but they can only really throw it on one person at a time. And while that's happening, they just continue to lose so much. All you can really hope for from this point forward, you have to catch somebody overextending. There's a lot of bounties that you can pick up here to try and close this gold gap, and you know 100% that you do not get that dragon spawning in 45 seconds if you're Mercenaries.
Well, at least you shouldn't. There is always
No
a potential.
shot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've seen some crazy things before.
All right, fair enough,
And
fair enough.
We got to see right now, because even though I doubt it, there's still 30 seconds left until that dragon spawns, but we already see that Conviction are making sure that they can hold on to this bottom side to deny the potential soul that might be able to be snuck away by Mercenaries if they're not careful enough. But really, I'm kind of in your camp still. I doubt that Mercenaries can get it, but it's not like it's a 0% chance. It's like a 1% chance.
Of course. You're just doing your due diligence like I did earlier when I was questioning Imperial Mandate Malphite.
No,
Just gotta be sure.
That was a bad call, because Imperial Mandate Malphite's really good.
Of course. I'm just simply saying, you gotta cover all your bases. Earlier you said you liked
that
it.
one's got 100%, almost like Omrecker, 100% win rate, you know.
Okay, I'm not bringing back Omrecker. We're skipping right over that one. Conviction, Dragon number 2, and Mercenaries will take that top tier 2 turret. Like we were both saying, they definitely understand. They had no business fighting around that dragon. But again, another dragon taken means the game further stalled, and that only benefits Conviction. You're going to start seeing some desperation come out soon here for Mercenaries. The question is, will those plays that they may have to force actually come through for them? Because it's looking like that's all they have left to try and take a win.
I don't even know if they have that left, because look at the
Maybe.
inventories. We're finally getting the mythic completed for Nightstar, and he's going
that's
for the
not good.
defensive option in that Immortal Shield Bow. And that's going to make it even more tricky to actually kill this Kog'Maw. With 2 Ocean Souls on top of him as well, he's going to be able to get all this damage out. He's going to keep the mana topped off at all times. And then if you do jump on him temporarily, backs off, resets back to full.
Right, and now after this, they're looking for a play potentially. At this point, they're just so strong. They can just sprint it down if they want to. Commit things like the Shirelias. And you just have to take it if you're Mercenaries at the moment. You got to back off, respect that you are very far behind at the moment, and try to punish Ivan Yang. You shouldn't be there. They aren't going to pull the trigger.
No, I was like, just because he shouldn't be there doesn't mean that Mercenaries can actually do anything to stop him at the moment. You could even see just how far he's able to step up. He's got the Sterix gauge as well on top of the Divine Tsundere, just to make sure to be even healthier when stepping up further. There's nothing really you can do to Ivan to actually scare him at this moment. He's got so much safety and there's so little damage. This was a composition that required to be able to get ahead early and snowball, and now they are 3,000 gold behind.
Yeah, it's tough. Greasy Watermelon now, highest level in the game at 17. He's 8-1, by the way. Absolute unit here on Summoner's Rift, and at this point, they're just taking care of all the outer turrets, shoving all these waves, and basically banishing Mercenaries to their side of the map. I don't think they're going to look for any dives, but soon they can start to look for something, especially because Barrack is on the other side of the map. If they get an inkling of that, they might be able to do something. There it is!
There it is. That's a huge amount of damage. They've dove, and they've gotten the kill in the back line. Kim's running for the hills, but Cinnamon Dread is going to be the next casualty as they dive on top of Rourke. Can't really do anything but die to the double kill coming in from Ivan. They've got the stun onto Barrack, but he is alive underneath this turret. It doesn't matter for Conviction. They've got the fight they need to finally crack the base of Mercenaries.
And a great fight coming out from Conviction. At this point, you can just ult all you want if you are top lane hero. They are going for the end here, Magical, as it's a 4 versus 3.
Because what can you do realistically as Mercenaries? They can bulldoze down these turrets. They pop open their own paranoia. You can see the side of Mercenaries understands that this game is over. It's just about being able to kill the Nexus now. Barrack dives into the back line to be able to get at least 1 kill on to Dinosaur, but then dies immediately after that. The game is over. Going over to Conviction. 17 kills to 6 in game 1 for a 1-0 victory, well, 1-0 lead at the moment.
And great from Conviction to be able to come back the way that they did. The fact is, both times they managed to get some kind of foothold were both off the back of a great play from Greasy Watermelon. You got to give a lot of credit to him for being able to play those fights really well. And of course, being able to hijack the Crow Storm, as it's just allowed him, especially against a lot of melee champions, to be able to get so much AoE damage on top of the fact that it's Silas and he can sustain trade like no other. So still, you got to give some credit to Mercenaries. I think their early game was really good. Mid game was also quite good. It's just those unfortunate fights that you lose when you're playing against comps that outscale yours. Makes it a nightmare to play as time goes on, because then, oh yeah, we're a third Drake, but we don't get the soul anymore. As we lose one Drake, that's time. Use another Drake, well, they're just continuing to scale. What can we do?
Especially when you have a Silas that starts off 3-0 in the game at 10 minutes in. Makes it really rough to be able to stop him, because now you can't kill Silas. He's unkillable. We saw how that pretty much panned out.
Kingslayer's not balanced. It's just a good ability. And I gotta double check, but I don't know if I saw enough grievous wounds to my liking, but we'll have to go back and check the replay to that one.
I think we only really saw it mid lane, and that you really kind of need that for Rourke as well. But you know, it didn't come through, and game one goes over to Conviction. We're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, we'll have our desk break down that game a little bit further, so stick around.
She close enough, she open up, you go to sleep. Now if you ever get to meet her, better keep a shot about to make a supersonic man out of you. She go below the belt, you better go for help, and shot about to make a supersonic man out of you. I wanna be her man. Now I'm a believer. She used both hands. Now I'm a believer. Yeah. Big gun, baby, I'ma pull it out and shooting my shot. I got a feeling I can bust it, baby. Trust me, baby, I do this a lot. She do that roll. Now I'ma double tap that booty like I did. She take that pole all the way down that choking sign, gon' make me ski. I'll ski. Yeah, now if you ever get to meet her, better keep a shot about to make a supersonic man out of you. She go below the belt, you better go for help, and shot about to make a supersonic man out of you. I wanna be her man. Now I'm a believer. She used both hands. Now I'm a believer.
Welcome back, Potassium Gang, to the University of the UPL. Or I'm showing you my Nestrox and Joshi. I was talking a little bit about that game between Conviction and Cinnamon Bread and Friends, also known as the Mercenaries. Josh is breaking it all down with the top side of the lane between the Nocturne and the Malphite.
That it is. I mean, this is an interesting lane that I just want to have an opportunity to talk about before we set it up for the rest of the series, because we started off just watching this come through. And something that's interesting about this lane that you don't see in a lot of top lanes is it's not actually a health battle, it's a mana battle. Both of you guys have these spells that cost so much mana. Nocturne wants to get things pushed in, so he has priority to roam around, and Malphite needs to make sure that he uses his mana to make sure that Nocturne doesn't have enough HP. But due to the fact that Nocturne's passive, he just walks into the wave, auto attack something, heals up a whole lot. It becomes very difficult for Malphite. So Barrack should have a pretty good time up in this lane because he is winning the mana battle as well as the health battle throughout most of the entire playthrough. But then things start to go a little bit wrong as we have an opportunity to roll a clip and see that he decides that he doesn't want to live anymore.
I mean, see this right here. It's like, I wouldn't say that he doesn't want to live anymore. It's just as though he gave just slightly kind of gave up, and then everybody else comes in, and from here, Eric, things go a little bit wary.
Oh man, this is exactly what I was looking for. I was excited when Rourke took the Fiddlesticks, but then when I saw the Silas on the other side, this is the exact type of disaster that can happen. Greasy Watermelon. That dude gets so far ahead. I have Watermelon right here. I'm rooting for you, brother. I love the play that I saw. He was. No, it's not greasy. I'm sorry. I'll go fry it up in just a little bit, just so we can actually complete this. I got my watermelon handkerchief right here. Handkerchief. And
It's not a handkerchief.
I was honestly so impressed with Greasy Watermelon's play, just because, like, when we looked at it at the end of the day, Mercenaries were so far ahead, but man, could Conviction fight.
That was the biggest thing, right? Because you saw the Conviction, their overall composition was built to generally go into with all the cases they had. You knew they were meant to snowball, and them getting an early, getting an early lead, especially on the Silas and the stuff, fantastic. But Josh, as you saw as the game went on, though, slowly but surely, Mercenaries did end up taking the lead, but it went down to those team fights. It just kind of fell apart.
And Eric will recognize a lot of what we saw from the games that we were casting over the last couple days over on Academy. The team that's opting into the later game style can generally trust that they're going to get there. You know, as long as you can bridge the gap from the early game into the mid game, you're going to allow these champions like the Silas and the Kog'Maw to scale up infinitely. And eventually we got to the point where Kaiba was able to free hit throughout these team fights, and there's not a whole lot that you can do with the composition that Mercenaries have drafted for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I echo that completely, because we were watching some of those fights, and as scrappy as they were, you could always see Nightstar in the backline just completely unchecked. Everyone else being his frontline, protecting the Kog'Maw, protect the puppy. You know, we know that old school type of style, and we know how effective it can be when you are able to actually get it together.
And it's interesting to pay attention to it, right? Because there's a lot of dive tools coming out from Mercenaries. You saw Nightstar died here at the very beginning, but the thing is, I have to level a little bit of criticism towards Namor at playing this Poke Varus. He's coming up really far as though he's playing an auto attacker. You're not. You're playing Varus with lethality. The entire thing is you're going to be hitting them from really far away, and giving yourself the range that you need to auto attack means that you're always going to be in range of Malphite.
Now, what I will say out of Mercenaries, what I did like about them is they had great map control. If you looked at it in that entire early game, you did have a lot of vision established by them, and they were able to get the early neutral objectives. It's just when it came down to fighting, that's where it started to fall apart. I still think there's hope for them nonetheless.
There's one final clip that I do want to roll here before we end off the desk here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the final play that we saw coming out for the Malphite, which is such a beautiful ultimate, and one that I hope to land in my dreams and wishes. Looking at this, just a 3-man knockup. If I could marry that play, I would propose to it in a heartbeat. And then eventually she would say, I will think about it. Then we long to multi relationship. We're going back and forth. We would work it out because we care about each other. Isn't that right,
No.
Josh? Yes, it
Eric,
is.
Eric, you're making me think some dirty thing. Sounds like Boku Hold the Pico coming out over here. You don't.
Yes,
This
sir,
is not
Russ.
that kind of show. This is supposed to be a family-friendly TV show, Eric.
It most definitely is. So we're talking about no salsa here, ladies and gentlemen. So before we get any more pico in our Dagalo, we're gonna go ahead and toss it off to Mad Magical and Beat Up Boulevard.
Welcome back into the casting desk once again with myself, Mad Magical, and the one and only Beatdown, who loves his anime and still trying to get me to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, which I will, I
Soon.
promise, one day, don't worry, but that's not going to be today. Instead, it is going to be Game 2 between Conviction and Mercenaries. You and I were having a little bit of discussion between the break while the desk was going on, and what we'd like to see changing going into Champion Select for Game 2 for Mercenaries. And I was kind of on the Braum, flex the Karma into mid lane, but you're kind of
Right.
on it, switching up the ADCs instead. So before we dive in, I kind of want to see which ADCs you'd like to tell the viewers at home that maybe they could fall back to.
See, the thing I was thinking of was maybe the one thing I thought about first was like maybe putting Lucian in the mid lane because I think running a double 80 carry is okay, or it's okay to have Varus because when you're thinking playing against Cog Lulu, unless you absolutely demolish them in the early game, it's really tough, especially building lethality, to have serious amounts of damage threat as the game goes on. Like you get outscaled very quickly. Not like at first, it's kind of like a curve where it's like, oh, it's happening. It's like, whoa, what just happened? Kind of way. And maybe if you go a different 80 carry route, or again, you have Karma, but you also have the shields you can add to someone like a Lucian who scales better, maybe would have had a better result there. But now we have sides swapped up, so maybe things will change up a little differently. Who knows? Maybe they'll play no ADCs. I've seen Xin Zhao AD, I've seen Lee Sin ADC before.
What I've seen
To be
a
fair, it
lot
wasn't
of teams
Senna.
actually what I've seen teams doing now is if Xin Zhao is left open, Xin Zhao actually does become that 80 damage threat because you have either Lulu, Karma, or then Braum on top of it, and then you pair it with the Ziggs into the bot lane, Swain into the bot lane. You have the AP source. There's something completely different just to be able to clear out the minion waves quickly and then rely on that mid-game skirmish potential, or even just the weird, not even front-to-back composition. It's all buff up the Xin Zhao, let him go crazy.
Yep. That's right, and it's an option. We'll see. Usually, Xin Zhao these days is a banned quite consistently on red side, so we'll see if Conviction may end up allowing that to slip through. But for the most part, interestingly enough, we have the blue side Gwen ban, and of course the Lulu ban too. So the Lulu ban I think is pretty interesting because of Conviction now, especially with the Senna Ezreal ban, they have to let through either Xin Zhao or Karma, and I think either one of those can be instantly grabbed up by Mercenaries.
There's a lot of different picks. You talked about
There's a
Karma,
lot of
the
different-
Xin
That side
Zhao.
sucks right
Nocturne
now.
was one that I was thinking about, but that
True.
got banned just now. Viego is still left open on top of this. Renekton would be a good pick. There's so many different champions that you can grab up immediately, and if you're not careful, especially on red side, like you said, it kind of can get you to this tricky position. But usually what I like to see is you leave three of them open, because Mercenaries are only going to be able to get one of them. You'll
Right.
at least be able to get two of them. Sure, you're not going to be able to choose which two. You're going to always have to fall back, but at least you'll be able to have some power, like the Xin Zhao that has been left open perfectly for Ivan right here.
Yeah, and then I think maybe that's how they wanted this to go through, because we talked about how if you leave both of them up, it's something Mercenaries can grab for themselves here. Of course, they're going to pick up Karma immediately. So versatile, so good in a lot of different compositions and a lot of different roles, so it makes a lot of sense. We'll see, actually, because if Diana is picked up, Xin Zhao could easily be grabbed up as well for Mercenaries, and it's a lot of what you were just talking about moments ago, about buffing up the Xin Zhao and the like. But Kog'Maw coming through with the Lulu. Interesting.
Without the Lulu and not even the fallback of Karma, Xin Zhao Braum should be the immediate call coming in from Mercenaries. Once you see that the Diana is a good skill matchup into Xin Zhao, but it's a skill matchup. You still have to be able to somehow keep up with him in this early game and be able to fight him out. Sure, you're going to be able to gank a bit sooner, but they don't even go for that. Instead, they grab this Akali to be able to have that additional damage source to dive in with Xin Zhao and to cause chaos onto this Kog'Maw backline.
Yeah, there's already a lot of damage threat onto this Kog'Maw. Mercenaries, they already know there's no Lulu. We have Karma, who is realistically going to protect this Kog'Maw, babysit him as he's going to try and farm up to become that late game monster we saw last game. We could see a Nami, maybe Janna, if that's something they want to go for, but it's that they are going to grab the Nautilus, which, I mean, in a vacuum is really good support right now. Not so thrilled about his pairing with Kog'Maw because it's not as much peel as much as it is we're fighting, we're killing them right now.
So the one thing I see that changes is this changes the identity of Kog'Maw. Kind of like when you see a Sejuani, where Sejuani, you think of her as like a power farmer who kind of going to be this great tank, but when you have a bunch of melee champions on your team, it suddenly transforms her into a skirmisher. And whenever I see Nautilus with Kog'Maw, it is telling me that it's like the Kai'Sa Nautilus bot lane. They are playing to be aggressive really quickly in this matchup, which is why they take away something that can be a lot more defensive, such as that Seraphine, maybe even such as that Farce, just because he can whittle you down before you're able to even fight.
True, and the Yasuo ban is pretty interesting. We have seen it. I think it was in LCK, or it was somewhere in like the tier 1 play, where the Yasuo using the Last Breath combined with the Moonfall is actually kind of a disgusting combo. Not sure if Greasy Watermelon plays it, but Mercenaries are like, nope, 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 we're getting right rid of that one. And I just kind of want to call back to your earlier point too about how this early game can be a struggle, especially for Ivan, because you called Xin Zhao and Diana a skill matchup, and I tend to agree, but for me, it's testing how skilled are you at avoiding Xin Zhao until you hit level 6 is kind of the game here for Ivan to play. And when you think about that, you're more than likely not going to have the pushing lane with Kog'Maw Nautilus, especially if you do get a longer range AD carry, one that can poke a lot more, and you have Karma in the bot lane. So what are we doing with this early game here? The Aatrox blind is interesting, but again, you have matchups where Aatrox is not in the greatest of positions, so.
Now, we do have ADC being hovered by Namor. Kalista could work, especially if it is going to be that Braum. I'm highly suspecting that it should be the Braum here, just to be able to pair up with this entire team. It could be mid-Kog'Maw.
AP mid-Cog?
We haven't seen that in quite some time, and that would be one hell of a flex, because right now the Kai'Sa picked up for that bot lane for the side of the Mercenaries. They still have this Karma, but they're hovering all these, fun picks, but it's got to be the Braum.
Yeah, no way, right?
The one that makes the most sense here with what your composition is all built around. It makes so much more sense than this Leona that they end up falling back onto instead.
I think Leona is okay too, because Braum, so some of the benefits of Braum, of course, you can start off fights with things like that Glacial Fissure, but he is a little more on the defensive side here. When you have things like Xin Zhao, Akali, Kai'Sa, you just want to go forward. And there are a few supports who do that as well as Leona does. So I think I do like this pick for Mark Kim in the support role, and that should work out really well. The Talon Hover. Oh, it's the Zed!
It is the classic Greasy Watermelon Zed pick. Alrighty. Now, this is an interesting pick coming in from the side of Conviction. I kind of had highlighted it before that Greasy Watermelon is that assassin player. Zed being Zed and Beyond. Oh, okay, so it's a Akali top on the side
Karma
of...
mid, then.
I mean, that makes the most sense, to be honest.
Right.
Karma top isn't as powerful as it used to be, but I'm continuing onto the Zed pick, because this is a fun pick, but I looked at Conviction's composition, and what does it remind you of? Does it remind you of what the team on Red Side in Game 1 had kind of drafted?
A little bit, a lot of in there, but in time, it looks like you're likely going to get outscaled. I think, well, realistically, if Kog'Maw can go even and make it to the late game, again, we've seen Kog'Maw. That's what he does. He is disgusting. But when I look at how you're gonna get to the late game, I'm looking over here at or technically let me do it this way. I'm looking over at Mercenaries composition, I'm looking over at Conviction's composition, and I'm really scared for Nightstar. I think is the best way I'm going to put it here. Nightstar did a really good job in Game 1 to his credit of avoiding death on several occasions, and now there's no Lulu. If he can somehow do that again, Alex, you know what? Conviction will take it.
I think so. That's going to be the thing. You have to
avoid
that, because you look at Mercenaries composition, and what do they all want to do except Karma? But Karma's going to help facilitate it regardless.
Make it so they can't. Yeah, exactly.
They dive, and there's more diving after that. So when you think that they're done diving the backline, they're continuing to dive the backline over and over again. Xin Zhao, Akali, even Kai'Sa, Fiona, all of them are going to be able to jump right into the backline. For Conviction side, they have a great potential themselves to try to see if they can kill off squishy members quickly. But that's the thing. They have to have the jump.
Yeah, I'm glad you said quickly, especially. I think that's the big thing here. When you think of people like Zed, Diana in less of a sense, but in a similar vein, especially in this comp. Like, you're trying to finish this real quick. I'm talking 3 to 5 seconds. If death mark expires and nobody goes down, well, that's actually going to be the mark of your death on the side of conviction instead. So it's, again, like you said, it's very similar to the red side, even though the sides have been swapped. What we saw last game, that time from Mercenaries, where you were looking to fight for only a few seconds and be done with it.
Mhm. And if the fight does not work out that way, if you're not able to kill them within those few seconds, Mercenaries are going to be a team that can have far longer exchanges, far longer drawn out fights, especially because we're probably going to see the Riftmaker coming in from Barrack. You're going to see just Rourke. Well, Xin Zhao can get a good amount of burst damage. It is still something that he can constantly do throughout an entire fight.
Not only that, it's pretty insane to sustain after a little while, especially if it's the Gore Drinker route from insane sustain, unintentional, but we take those. That the Xin Zhao can basically get for himself here too. So again, extended engages do not favor conviction, but they do have some snowbally champions here. And a lot of this is going to be on Greasy Watermelon specifically, and much more so than it was in game 1. Because if you don't get things done on Zed, especially post 6, well, yeah, I mean, that sucks.
You know what I hate?
What do you hate?
Not having level 1 fights.
Oh, I know, buddy. Come here. Just bring it in. It's going to be okay, buddy.
I need a hug.
Come here. Right here, buddy. I got you.
Thank you. It feels warm.
Good.
But yeah, I want to see skirmishing early on. I love seeing these fights that happen right away. And I'm curious to see what kind of action we'll get from these two teams. I doubt it's going to be quite that farm fest that we saw in the first game, where it wasn't until way later that we finally saw the ganks attempted. I'm expecting to see more things like this. Skirmishing lanes, especially from the bot lane, because I talked about how Kog'Maw Nautilus, it's not how you typically think of a Kog'Maw lane. It's going to try to play very aggressively to get that level 2 spike.
And it's looking like they're going to be able to get it first, but they're really fighting for it on both sides here. But I like how aggressive that they're playing. Definitely not what you'd expect from Kog'Maw, but if successful, that's going to be really huge here for Conviction as a whole. We'll see who actually manages to get the level 2 first, because if a kill comes through from it, that could decide the lane. I want to talk about the junglers, though, how they have started on the same side of the map. They're going to meet on the bottom side here. Oh, here comes.
Here's that 2. Dinosaur too far out and punished immediately by Namor and Kim down.
I mean, like, there's no world in when if you go 2 at the same time, like, you don't win that if you're Nightstar and Dinosaur. So that was unfortunate. You get an early kill onto Kaisa, and Nightstar, well, he's understanding that this is not his lane anymore. He has to play very respectful outside of the range of XP, it looks like, as well. Good from Kim to focus him. So this lane is already so difficult for the bottom lane of Conviction to play through, and it makes it tougher because Ivan Yang is coming down, ideally to help the bottom lane, but already falling behind in XP means we might not get the best timer for him to do so, and fighting for the Scuttle Crab may not be an option either.
No, and it does seem like, regardless of how much the side of Conviction like it, it is a slow push going against them. Namor and Kim Down had done a great job of making sure to kind of juggle the aggro, so that way their minions were going to be able to at least keep the lane frozen well further than Nightstar can really contend with, which gives plenty of time for Rourke, for Cinnamon Bread, to be able to rotate into the spot lane, getting more summoners out of the side of Conviction spot lane.
And, of course, Scuttle will go over to Rourke here, as Ivan is trying to help get the shove and have Greasy Watermelon move up to help him. So at least it will be a Scuttle Crab trade. And it's good, because realistically, we talked about Ivan wanting to avoid Rourke, and he's been very skillful in doing that so far. So I'm liking his chances here. There is a dive that is possible, but I don't like that idea. Okay, he's resetting. We like that.
I was about to say, there's a dive possible top lane, a dive possible bot lane. But I don't know if either side had enough minions to actually be able to commit for that. So I think it's a smart call from both sides falling back. You can see that Rourke is hanging around that bot lane for a long time. That ward that had been there, had only just been placed there by the side of Nightstar, was enough to finally tell Rourke that they had full information of where he was.
And it's good. It just means that Ivan can continue to farm up on the top side. The slow farm game is okay for Conviction. Exactly. And again, very skillfully, I must say. So avoiding the 2v2s is really the big thing I would also say for Conviction. Like, you don't want to look for these fights anymore, especially because look who's nearby. It's Rourke. Oh, no.
Flash is going to be on top of Dinosaur, who does not have the flash, does not have the escape,
Oh,
does not
yeah.
have the dash either. The
Heal?
heal trying to be able to survive.
Oh,
but now
he
he's
blocked
turning
auto?
to the red buff.
Oh.
Oh, barely ticking away, dying to Namor. Top lane, there's a potential fight. Ivan taking a lot of damage. This Hero trying to be able to defend, getting the turn around with the Darkened Blade, but it's just going to be overall the kills going into the bot lane of Mercenaries.
And that's what happens with the wave clear here for Cinnamon Bread. He can find himself really good roam timers and be able to help move his way topside. If Ivan wasn't there, top lane hero would be in a lot of trouble. But so far, not a whole lot has happened since that play on the bottom side of the map. Nightstar, unfortunately, has to take some unfortunate recall time, meaning he has just been on the rear end of picking up CS and experience, so it just keeps getting harder and harder for this Kog'Maw to be able to scale up the way he wants to here. If you can get that info on Rourke and realize that he's on the other end of the map or try and punish this reset coming through from Namor and Kim down, you could secure yourself Dragon 1, but it doesn't seem like that's what they're looking to do.
It's gonna be hard though, because you can already see that mid lane, Cinnamon Bread, the innate nature of Karma into any lane just automatically shoves most of them. Even if you see that there's a level discrepancy and Greasy Watermelon has that lead, it's still a Karma lane. She shoves way harder. Bot lane, the bot lane's not going at all the way that Conviction could really utilize to play around this dragon. So even though Ivan is here, they have to completely bail, knowing there's no way they can actually secure this objective yet.
And it's even tougher, too, when you think about how Kim down, because him and Namor are controlling this lane, there's...
Oh, no!
We gotta fight? Oh, wait, level 6?
Rourke, no, he didn't have the smite there, so he dies, and now popping the World Ender, looking to be able to get the Darkened Blade with the double knockup, trying to follow up on Cinnamon Bread. The flash away was enough so they can peel back, and Conviction, because of the no smite from Rourke on the Scuttle Crab, gives over the objective to them.
That is actually really crazy. Because of that ward and the dot brush, Conviction go to make this crazy play. I want to see in the replay, I think Ivan got 6 off of the Scuttle Crab, and that's just really great timing. And the immediate TP for top lane hero, because they knew how important getting this kill was. They knew how important it was to get this first dragon. Okay, so he's level 6 when he comes to it, but still, Rourke could have been close to level 6. Denying the Crescent Guard would have been very important as well. And look at that. Greasy Watermelon immediately pickups the kill. Top lane, just in case TPs to make this one happen. And even though he loses a bit on it, it's not so bad.
And Greasy Watermelon has flash available to be able to get away from this gank attempted. This is just a little bit unfortunate. It's one of those situations for Mercenaries that Rourke thought they had the advantage, and they rightfully did, but the fact that he didn't have the smite, and Ivan went for the YOLO smite steal to deny that ult. And now, Greasy Watermelon just going to try to see if he can fight. The Ignite is taken away, and Nightstar, not enough to get the damage on top of Cinnamon Bread, who will be able to survive. Now Rourke on the other side, Greasy Watermelon, nowhere to be able to escape from that Zenith Blade. Stunned up, locked down, killed off Rourke. Getting a bit of damage. They had Ivan in the wings, but it looks like the members of Mercenaries still barely able to escape.
And I like that. I like these plays that Conviction are attempting here. Being able to get that first dragon is really important for them as well. Greasy Watermelon getting a kill for himself too, because we talked about how they need to snowball, how especially Greasy El Nized needs to be able to get some kind of gold lead generated for him here. And we are seeing that start to form, but we need to see these plays continuously be made here. Fact is, Nightstar is down about 20 CS. He's really struggling in that bottom lane, so picking up that kill would have been nice. But overall, you need a little more to get yourself through this early and mid game if you are Conviction, so that Nightstar can pretty much take that baton pass and take you all the way to a win.
And if he's able to kind of help him out, be able to constantly dive into this backline onto Namor, it's going to be critical to make sure that it's always an uneven fight. Even if he instead maybe focuses on the Barrack, focuses onto Rourke, these members that can be so important for Mercenaries. This is why we have to keep our eyes on this Zed and how he's able to play around these fights.
So far, things have slowed down just a little bit here. Now we're finding some pretty good roam timers here on the side for Dinosaur. He's been able to have an impact, even if not actually participate in dredge lines. The fact that he's able to be around, allow these pushes to come through. Oh, wait, hello?
Watermelon. Okay, look at the damage.
Whoa.
I was a bit surprised by that one.
Yeah, me too.
Used his Shadow Clone to jump right in front of Cinnamon Bread. He had ult available if he wanted to be able to continue that fight, but I respect not going for it. One of the difficult things for this Zed Karma matchup is knowing that you're going to be able to burst down Karma just because how often she can get those shields.
And that's the beauty of Ignite. Makes it that much better for you here too. And Greasy, because again, he is in control. He is going to basically be allowed to cover Ivan and pick up this early Rift Herald. Another important neutral, because now you can get some gold, especially if you get it in the mid lane. You take down that tower. You allow Greasy to push this way further and start to come to other lanes. And oh wait, we got a fight.
Got a little bit of a fight with flash in from Kim down to be able to get the stun, and now the killer instinct into the backline on top of Nightstar. Killing spree coming in from Namor. Dinosaur not being able to get anywhere near, but then passive picks up the turnaround shutdown killed for Nightstar.
Oh, that is actually pretty nice for Nightstar to be able to get a little extra gold into his pocket here. A lot of summoners use Magical, and overall, you do lose a bit out on this wave as Nightstar is still walking back, but still, I like that they're looking for plays. They're trying to take whatever advantage they can, and because they haven't seen Rourke past that pink ward, they know that he isn't nearby at the moment, so they're just going to go for this Rift Herald play, get some extra plates here for Greasy Watermelon. He's just got to walk a little closer, but no one's on the map, so unfortunately, he has to respect that.
Yeah. So all the gold going over to Ivan, none of it getting into Greasy Watermelon's greasy pockets. He would love to be able to have had that gold. You were talking about making sure the Zed can be in that position to assassinate and carry the team. And unfortunately, just missing out on that little bit of gold, he might be able to shove in, get a bit of that pocket change from these minions, but that was a lot that he missed.
It's really unfortunate here, but now he could be on the roam. Rourke?
Oh, looking
Death mark?
Use the ult to be able to get a lot of damage on top of Rourke, but Rourke, he's able to turn it around immediately, and that's the power of Xin Zhao.
He lost maybe a fifth of his HP. Rourke was never in any danger, and now I'm really starting to get worried if I am Conviction. Greasy Watermelon can't find the roams he's looking for. Dinosaur is a little bit of trouble. Oh, you know who's in trouble is Nightstar.
Nightstar does not have flash, does not have heal, and there's a Crescent Strike to try to see if they can take down Nightstar. Immediately bursts it, but they turn it around for a 1-for-1. Depth charge on top of Namor, and here comes Ivan being able to get at least the flash from Cinnamon Bread.
You do get something, and you do get the trade kill for Nightstar, which he's been doing a pretty good job of with help from Dinosaur. So it's not like you are losing so much in the process. 1-for-1 is still a little tough, but it does favor Conviction. You just need more than that, Magical. That's the thing. Like, constantly responding to these plays isn't quite enough, but because of how that play ended up working out, you get yourself Dragon number 2. And that is actually really good for Conviction. The fact that they still, despite all things, have been able to take 2 dragons away from Mercenary. All things considered, you would have expected Mercenary to be able to be the ones to get it.
Yeah, it's this stacking potential for Conviction that is keeping them relevant in this game.
Oh, God.
Despite the fact that they have got to be a lot more careful than this, Ivan. You have no control of this jungle. Why do you think that you could just go into Rourke's kingdom, his territory, and take anything from him? Greasy Watermelon has the fancy footwork, but he was stunned up immediately. Spike him down with the Zenith Blade Death Mark on top of the support, has a lot of damage to the depth charge. Here comes in Dinosaur. They're not going to be able to get the kill in the back. But no, they will! Greasy Watermelon flashing away. They secure the kill onto the support.
Still, that I do not know what you were doing in the jungle there. Even though top lane hero is trying to make the hero play, it is not enough. He might actually be in trouble here.
Wait, Barrett got assassinated Greasy Watermelon. We didn't even see that because we just see top lane hero showing up and being like, all right, I'm here. But Barrick was like, all right, I found the really low health target assassin. That's an easy cleanup.
Yeah, with the Ignite, it just makes it that much easier for him to clean up. I think we have another scrap going in the topside jungle, though. We could just move up camera. There you go. We love that.
Okay, so what I'm seeing from these junglers is absolutely no respect for the other. We saw Ivan invade when he didn't have any control. We've now seen Rourke invade when he didn't have any control. And both times it's now forfeited lanes, like we see this easy dive executed by the side of Conviction.
Well, and I hope we can we toggle gold just to see the difference between Nightstar and Namor? I think that's the most interesting thing because now he picks up a kill, he gets first turret gold. We're seeing him,
100.
he's still down like 900, but you gotta imagine it was way worse before. And if it's anything like game one, he's gonna spend a lot of time focusing on farming up these waves in the mid lane, in the side lane, like he did before, and potentially catch up here in CS. He's still scaling, he's still relevant, and for all intents and purposes, Conviction are actually in the lead right now.
Exactly, because my big thing is the Xin Zhao just does not have nearly the amount of gold you need to from an early game. Xin Zhao likes these skirmishes. He thrives in these chaotic fights, but we're not seeing that from Orc. He is 1-3-4. He is 1,500 gold behind Ivan.
Right. And part of it, too, is Rourke did not go the Gore Drinker build. He went for the Stride Breaker instead. So not the sustain you usually see on someone like Xin Zhao, and especially into many melees from Conviction. It might have done a lot of good in the healing department, but right now it's Dinosaur, who is not in trouble. Came down, will miss. But overall, things are just chilling, and we are just back to farming for both sides as we wait for most likely the Rift Herald to come through.
Probably going to be a fight around the objective again. Conviction seem like they'll be content with that. They don't have that TP advantage for Greasy Watermelon to be able to join in, unlike Barrack, but I don't think they mind it too much. They seem like they are going to be able to position around this and utilize that burst combo of Ivan and Dinosaur all on top of their opponents.
At the moment, we're just farming away. As now you see both teams trying to fight for vision around this top side of the map because they both want the Rift Herald for themselves here. And you see Greasy is already on the move because of that TP advantage like you talked about. So Barrack can join anytime technically. The only way Conviction really come out in this particular fight, I think, is if they get on top of somebody and just blow them up immediately. That's why Dinosaur is just moving up. Hey, look at me, Kim.
Trying to defend the ward, trying to make sure they can secure the vision as Rourke now looking to see if he can dive in. Barrack actually is TPing in, having walked a lot away. Rourke pulled back in the depth charge onto the support, but there's a lot of damage back onto Dinosaur.
Oh, Leona ult is wide.
Now look at Barrack. Barrack is getting walked down and killed off by the Moonfall, even though it's a trade of assassin for assassin. The flash is coming in from the side of Mercenaries to stay alive. They're afraid of this Aatrox who's zoning away Rourke at the moment. They do secure the eye for Conviction.
That is really nice from Mercenary or Conviction because they hold on, but they're still going.
Oh, Rourke, you needed a bail, and now with Nightstar being able to get all this damage on top of so many members, he's got a double kill, and they finished off the mid laner. Only Namor, the one with all the gold for Mercenary, is alive, but unfortunately not able to flex that here in this fight as Rift Herald immediately popped.
Oh, Mercenaries have lost so much, and they're going to continue to lose more with this Rift Herald play coming through. It's going to be at least 2 turrets. They could push for inhib if they really wanted to, but now might not be the best time for that. But what matters is how well Conviction play that fight, protecting Nightstar, peeling for Nightstar. And even though they go 1-for-1, the fact that they can keep him safe and healthy as he is going for these autos. Kaisa, who didn't have the room to dive in with the Killer Instinct, didn't have a means for getting any of that damage out. You get yourself soul point here for Conviction, and now you have a very nice gold lead.
Mercenaries are trying to make sure they can deny that. They know that this is bad to be in a position like this. The dive coming in from Barrack. They're going to be able to get the kill on a Greasy Watermelon, and it's traded back onto Dinosaur too. 2 are dead. Maybe Ivan as well. Barrack takes him down. Nightstar, he's not going to be able to do anything to be able to help out that top lane. He's just running for the hills. No mana to speak of. Slowed down by the Stride Breaker, and it is an ace for Mercenaries.
And that is big. Taking the fight right away means they catch up and pick up a lot of gold in the process. Although there's no Baron for them to take, that is a really good read from Mercenaries to immediately push for that fight. Get the ace, but still now the Dragon Soul is on the table here for Conviction. And Conviction, well, they were holding on to a lead, but some of these turrets are going down at this point. So things are about even. Yeah, just a lot of standing gold available to Mercenaries that they have now picked up for themselves. And just like that, as quickly as Conviction took the lead, Mercenaries have taken it right back.
Well, they thrive in a lot of these chaotic fights. We were kind of highlighting that before. And look at Rourke's positioning and what Barrack does to make sure to just take out
Watch
Greasy
Ivan,
Watermelon.
too. And look at Ivan here on the Diana. Like this is sorry, I'm thinking of the previous fight. So this is the dragon fight where they just get absolutely decimated, and there's just not a whole lot they can do here. Again, good recognition from Mercenaries. The fact that they managed to get that ace, and well, as much as you want to argue Gore Drinker versus Stride Breaker, that's a pretty damn good argument for the Stride Breaker, as Nightstar was basically stunned.
Yeah, it's the slow and the damage you get from it. It is very different from how it once was, where it's that nice gap closing tool. Instead, after you've already closed the gap, it just makes it so someone as a mobile, as a Kog'Maw, he ain't going nowhere.
None at all. But I think the fight before that dragon, but wait, hold on a second.
Greasy Watermelon, oh man,
Yeah.
Zed, his classic pick, constantly just getting picked apart.
And that's good recognition from Mercenaries. You don't want this Zed to get any gold. You don't want him to have any true assassination potential. And the fact is, he's 2-6 right now, not doing so hot in the itemization department. Oh my god, it's play after play.
Play after play. It might have been the assassin traded back on the side of Conviction, but they're going to be able to get shut down, gifted over to Ivan now.
Okay, and what I wanted to talk about was before that dragon fight, we saw an example of how Conviction can still come out on top in these skirmishes. It's the fact that Ivan peels for Nightstar, uses that Moonfall so that Nightstar can stay as safe as possible, is really smart because, again, it's all about Nightstar like it was in Game 1. If he can get those autos off, if he can get the spell rotations, the damage, it's looking really good. And this fight, though...
They're scared off. Greasy Watermelon's got a long way, but the damage on Rourke is enough for the side of Conviction. Even despite the fact they were peeling off, they get the kill, and because it's the jungler, you know what time it is.
Right, it's Baron time, Magical, and Barrack only just spawned with no TP available, means they are just going to tear this one apart. We're looking at 2-item Kog'Maw and little to no chance of a steal. All Mercs can do is try and get them off of it, but look at Dinosaur. He's just wishing they would.
Look at this, Greasy Watermelon getting so much attention for the members of Mercenaries while his team is looking to burst down the Baron. It is low, it is nearly dead. They have to be able to fight it, it's going to be secured, but here's Barrack into the back line, trying to be able to survive. Moonfall was able to burn him down, though. Now Ivan diving into the back line on a Namor, they're going to be able to get a double kill. Make it more, they've taken everybody apart on the side of Mercenaries. Kim down the last target remaining, even though Rourke has just spawned back up. It is a delayed ace with the Baron on top of Conviction.
Oh, the last-ditch effort there to get them off of the Baron for Mercenaries falls apart at the seams, and now Conviction, again, have taken the gold lead, but now they've taken it further than it's been in this game. 4,000 in their favor. Baron buff means they're going to get more, and we're at the point, Magical, where one lost fight could actually mean an early victory here for Conviction. Mercenaries, they're in a tough spot at the moment here, because we find ourselves in the same position as Game 1. You can't touch Nightstar.
No, you can't. And here, I like that, even though Greasy Watermelon 2-7 on the set, that was enough attention to make sure his team could get the Baron, and then this turnaround fight is immaculate.
Right, and again, just look at Nightstar. Nobody's touching him. He's full HP. He's full HP. He lost, he lost maybe what is that, 60 HP, Magical? What do you think?
I'd say about 60, 70.
Yeah, and look at that. At the end of it, he was 100%.
And now Rourke trying to be able to get the kill on
double
hero.
TP!
Doesn't really have that ability, but now it's going to be the death mark on top of Rourke, getting a little bit of damage.
Barrack's here!
At least played it back around onto the 2, and now 8 Zed looking to see if he can at least get a little bit more on a hero, trying to be able to escape this one. He's healing up for now, has a lot of damage that he's able to provide, but it finally should be his death once he had one more 5-point strike, but he's still healing up through a lot of it. Finally, the beast falls.
Right, and Conviction have a choice here. Do they burst the dragon? Do they run away? I like the runaway answer here, but this core 3 could make something happen, Magical.
Look at that damage. They're going to be able to get Kim to go golden immediately, and he dies the moment he respawns, but now Nightstar cutting back, taking down 2, and they should be able to get a little bit more. Nobody can get on top of Nightstar. He's able to get so much damage onto these members of Conviction. They turned their attention
You can't approach.
back. They want the soul. They want to be able to get it. Can they get onto Nightstar? It's only 2 members. He's looking to see if he can get the damage, but Namor, does he have the turnaround? He can't get it. He's still alive. Barrack will at least be able to get him his revenge onto the ADC. Looking to see if the Ghost, no, it could not get the kill onto Cinnamon Bread, but look who showed up. Greasy Watermelon getting his greasy hands into this fight, taking 1 kill. kill with them. Ivan looks to be able to get one more. The ace finally coming through once again for Conviction.
Now, that is a really smart fight there from the side of Conviction. They had 3 members, and that's all it took. Once again, nobody touched Nightstar for the majority of that fight, and in doing so, Rourke gets taken down. That's the Dragon Soul here for Conviction, and this could be the game we're looking at here, Magical, because we're, 5K up? Nightstar is a damn problem that no one can deal with. What do Mercenaries do? Really, again, it's those hard commit plays to the sideline like we saw, that like it was in game 1. That's the only option they have left, and it might not be enough.
No, not once we see that Nightstar even completes his Immortal Shield bow, because that is clearly what he is aiming for as that Mythic. Same build path as we saw last game. Once that is completed, we saw how difficult it is to kill Kog'Maw in game 1. I could only imagine it will be that difficult here in game 2, even with that assassin tool that you have in this Akali.
Now you can see it again. Mercenaries, they know their only real chance is to stack and try and pick up a shutdown, take someone out, but wait, are we fighting?
The thing is, it's all this dance, and
Look
look
at the
damage that
damage!
comes in from
What?
Ivan. Deathmark on to Varric in the back line, going to be able to dodge
Here
away the
comes!
moonfall damage on top of the members. They're going to be able to get a trade back onto Greasy Watermelon, but it doesn't really matter. They know that it's not the actual important one. It's all about Ivan, all about Nightstar. Only Cinnamon Bread is alive in the mid lane, and you can tell that Conviction, they want to be able to take this 2-0 victory.
And once again, in a way, Nightstar wasn't the only threat for Conviction. Much like in game 1, there was another threat on their side, but this time it is Ivan Yang, and he's going for more, Magical.
Oh man, they're just giving more kills. 2 players on Conviction side will end game 2 with double-digit kills. A 2-0 victory for Conviction.
And that is also some really nice play in game 2. We had the questions, Magical. No Lulu for the Kog'Maw, no Enchanter support, period. What are we really looking to do to protect this Kog'Maw? And the thing is, Ivan played this Diana really well in a way you won't often see Diana played. Usually, Diana, you're in there like Swimwear. You got a Nautilus on the team, just full send it, you know? But what ends up happening instead is because the enemy team in Mercenaries also have this sort of dive, you just wait for them. Oh yes, please come jump into the Nightstar. Oh my gosh, look at our 80 carry. He's so fragile. Look at him. He's so small. And then as soon as they get on top of him, bam, Aatrox, bam, Diana. Like just absolutely decimates them. And you saw it in all the replays. Nightstar almost lost no HP. He died maybe once or twice. And if you can't kill Kog'Maw, you lose the game. That's my big brain analysis.
Though I will say, you got to feel bad a little bit for Mercenaries, how much attention they had put onto Greasy Watermelon to make sure they didn't have to deal with another threat from mid lane like they did in game 1. Well, just because you killed him 9 times didn't mean that you didn't have to worry about the AP threat. Diana was then the threat. Kog'Maw still a threat. Who do you really deal with in that composition?
It's so tough. I think past a certain point, you know the Simpsons meme, stop, he's already dead. That was Greasy Watermelon at like 5 deaths. Like, listen, you saw the death marks. He wasn't hurting anybody anymore. Start looking at somebody else.
I feel like it was also the meme. It's like, call an ambulance, but not for me, because he has his whole team. He has the Kog'Maw. But you know what? I'm going to let the desk break down this game, this series a little bit more. That's going to do it for us here. So why don't you guys take it away, Ravish? Start us off.
Oh, hola, ¿cómo estás, amigos? Welcome back to the desk. Yet again with Dusrex and Jesse back. And thank you, man, Magical and Beats Boulevard for taking us through that genuinely roller coaster of a good start. Let's start it over to you, Eric, here, because like we just saw here before, Conviction, although this is more of a tug of war in the later stages of the game that we saw, but they still came out on top for, I was actually a clean 2-0, but a 2 nonetheless.
Yeah, it wasn't the cleanest for sure. Conviction had a great early game, especially on their bot side. That whole Kaisa Leona combo was doing some mad damage to the whole Kog'Maw Nautilus combo. They were just trying way too hard. And all things considered, at the end of the day, in this cast, we weren't screaming out the name of Namor. We just kept saying Nightstar, Nightstar, because has some beautiful positioning in a lot of these.
Absolutely amazing too, and we'll see it as we go along through a couple one of these fights as well, because with the Herald right in front of us here. You see Nightstar at the back here, Josh, and look at him just doing his thing, just being his absolute king self.
It's really impressive that he's able to look like he's at a middle school dance this entire time, right? He's chilling on the far side of one fight, and the entire other team is all the way away. You know what? It works whenever somebody feels brave enough to come up and ask him to dance. He just spits on them and gets them off the side. So it ultimately works out over and over again. I was really impressed with his positioning throughout most of this game. Outside the laning phase, once he actually started getting his teammates in front of him, he didn't really die a single time after that.
Yeah, he was usually the last one to die in a lot of those fights. He positioned well, Josh.
Nice tour.
I don't know what kind of middle school dances you're going to, Josh, but but in my own experience, like left side couldn't wait to engage the right side, which is where I saw that the Mercenaries ADC was kind of playing towards, deciding that I know I'm an ADC, but what if I just decided to, stand in melee range, which ultimately led to their own downfall, but that's unfortunate.
I mean, we have to contrast it how he was playing this, how he was playing the Vars earlier, right? Like, I was a little bit critical of how close he was standing with the Vars because he was auto-attacking too much with the lethality build. And you can just build Vars crit, and it works just fine. But this is the kind of game where we get to see why he was doing that before. He's playing the Vars like he was playing the Kai'Sa, very aggressive, and we saw how effective that was during the laning phase. Unfortunately, in this game, there are too many threats and too many melee champions in order to do that nearly as effectively. He got punished for it a lot. Bad boy.
To add on top of that too is the Baron as you go along the game. The conviction you saw as they continued to almost, I want to say, steamroll throughout, and the greasy 3v1 is the end of there, Eric. Baron is taken, and so are Mercenaries' lives.
This one was a little bit painful for me because if you're looking at the back line, Barrack was right on top of Nightstar, but the call for Mercenaries was to try and steal the Baron, despite them not having a smite to really work with there. So, that was some painful stuff to see, and especially starting that off with that. Hyper, turn that, don't do my boy Greasy Watermelon.
My boy Watermelon.
That being said, though, Greasy Watermelon was kind of a blast watching that last one. I'm sorry I finished my watermelon. That's probably why you got a little bit cursed there, but it was tactical ints at the end of the day because some of these fights would start with him dying and they would end with him teleporting back and cleaning up.
Yeah. That's the word we use for a death.
Tactical.
Yes, this is all ultimately part of the game plan. They're big by superiority to try that we're gonna die first, but then you come back later in the game when I would take up all the kills because I am a KDA player, not the band. And the game continued on though. Is
that how that works? Being a KDA player, you die at the very beginning of the fight, so you could just like clean up 3 kills at the end. I guess it'll technically work, but
yeah, you improve your KDA.
I mean, at the end of the day, right, as long as you're getting more out of what you're investing in, your ROI and of course your 401k will look absolutely beautiful, right? It's all about the higher interest rate here, Josh. And with the type of interest rate that they're currently having, and as all investments, what you need is commitment. That's something that I'm not seeing out of either one of these teams. So a message to both Conviction and Mercenaries, guys, commit to your plays, go full force on them because you're a lot stronger than you think. Ask out the girl, take that certain fight, commit to what you believe in, including this game. That's what we're League of Legends.
Put a ring on it.
Story, man. That was really the story, and now we're finally going to take a look at that final fight. Look at Greasy Watermelon, let's go! But the problem that bugs me here is Namor just dives in to go finish that kill. Now you got to deal with Nightstar! And he can clean up. Look at this boy go. You try to hop away. He's got that W popped. Boy, you ain't going nowhere.
And he doesn't. But, Josh, to end off this game with your thoughts here too, Eric lays a lot of good points. But Nightstar, let's talk a little bit about, just talking to commit more about the plays here. Where do you fall on this whole commitment issue?
I think it's pretty obvious. If you want it, then you better put a ring on it. And they clearly are doing quite a bit. Like, we talked about Nightstar quite a bit throughout today, but we also got to talk about the fact that Ivan Yang looking really good. We haven't talked about his plays quite a bit, but he was so instrumental to a lot of their team fights. Just want to make sure that I notice you. Ivan, Senpai notices you. We do see all the cool plays you're making, but it's hard to compete when you're comparing with Nightstar.
Nightstar!
Nightstar, he does have to have a good front line to be able to keep him alive and let him do that sustained damage. So yeah, I echo that completely. Not just that, but Dinosaur as well. In the mid game, there were some brilliant hooks coming from that boy, going straight onto, I believe it was Cinnamon Bread, and setting up Nightstar for all those kills.
Okay. With that all being said, gentlemen, I do want to thank you for joining me on the desk. Big shout out, of course, to our production team, our casters that we said, and y'all for being by my side the entire day. This is a wonderful opening day, and I cannot wait for y'all to join me going out throughout these next weeks of the Upstairs Premier League. So, watashi tashi no kore to mite kurete arigatou gozaimashita. Oyasu nasai.
What? What?